And so I will apologize in advance. This day I had the absolute worst allergies, which is why I have the heavy breathing and the terrible nasal sounding voice. But it is what it is, and this is the day I was making bread, so we're going to go ahead and do it. You'll just have to bear with me.
When you start learning to cook with a Dutch oven, it can be very, very intimidating. I know it was for me, and I put it off for a long time, but I'm so glad that I learned how to do it. Granted, I did burn some stuff when I first started. With a little time and effort and some patience, you can learn to cook in a Dutch oven, and you'll be really happy you did. If you don't have a Dutch oven and you're starting to think about buying a Dutch oven for cooking in the ground, one, the size of your Dutch oven does matter. You need a Dutch oven that's big enough for whatever you're cooking in. There's going to be airflow all around the sides, and you also need airflow underneath whatever you're cooking as well. You pretty much want it to be like just like your oven at home, but smaller and in the ground. So the Dutch oven I have here is 14-inch round, and it does have legs on the bottom. This Dutch oven here is big enough for me to be able to put a rack in the bottom, and then if I'm cooking bread, I can put it in a pie plate in there to heat up, and I have plenty of room for my bread to rise. If I'm making a cake, I have plenty of room to put a smaller Dutch oven inside the bigger one and still have airflow all around either your pie plate or your smaller Dutch oven in there for the cooking. Another thing when you're talking about Dutch ovens, when you are cooking in a Dutch oven and you're putting it in a hole like this and getting it really hot, you are cooking the seasoning off. So if you're planning on using this in the ground and then taking it right back into your kitchen to cook in, you're going to have problems because every time you use this, you're cooking all the seasoning off the pan. So my recommendation is just to have a Dutch oven strictly for cooking in the ground. That way you don't have to worry about your food sticking when you're trying to cook with it later on. Pretty much anything that you can cook in an oven at home, you can cook in a Dutch oven. Breads, cakes, you can cook things like meatloaf in here, you can cook roast, you can, bury this underneath the dirt and be able to cook with it as well. So when you're digging your hole for your Dutch oven, you want it deep enough so once your fire has cooked down, you'll be able to put your pan in there and then put coals on top of it. So width-wise here, you only want your Dutch oven to be able to fit into the hole with maybe a 2-inch gap, 1.5-inch gap around that. You want that gap in between your Dutch oven and the wall of the hole, so you'll be able to get single coals and just put around there to keep your temperature where it needs to be. And speaking of temperature, when you're learning to do this, always remember that less heat is better than more. When you're cooking on coals, it does take some getting used to, and especially when you're using firewood. Now, cooking with briquettes that you buy in a bag from the store is totally different because you can gauge that each briquette is a certain degree. So you know how many briquettes to use for the bottom and the top of your pan. But when you're cutting firewood to use, that temperature of those coals can vary, and it takes some more work to be able to use those. Different woods, are hotter. They're going to make hotter coals. And so you have to just kind of gauge your temperature. I gauge my temperature by just putting my hand in there and feeling, But if you're unsure about it, especially when you first get started, using less heat is better because you're still going to be able to cook your food. But if you start burning things, you still can't eat it. I say when you're at elk camp, burnt food's better than no food. But it does suck, especially when you're making sourdough bread and stuff, to put all that work into it and then come out with a burnt loaf of bread. But my father-in-law has always said you are not a true Hayes if you don't eat burnt bread, so I can assure you we have ate our fair share of burnt bread, especially when trying to learn to cook in a Dutch oven. And my last piece of advice is just practice, practice, practice. That's the only way that you're going to learn how to cook in a Dutch oven, and preferably start practicing before you go where you're wanting to go because you don't want to get out there and then not really know what you're doing. So I hope these tips were helpful. Use them, get out there, burn some stuff because it's going to happen, but eventually you will have a beautiful loaf of bread or a cake or whatever it is that you're wanting to do. All right, so I wrapped Betty and the leaven up into these wool coats last night with the hot rock to keep them warm and from freezing, and so I'm going to go ahead and take these out. I'm pretty sure the leaven's not quite ready to make bread yet, but the hot rock trick does work really well for keeping them from freezing. The leaven has gone up almost where it needs to be, so in a little while we're going to go ahead and do the float test, which is where I just take just a tiny bit of this and then I put it in water. If it floats, that means it's ready to make bread. All right, so our leaven passed the float test. We're going to go ahead and get started with making the bread.
We're just gonna mix our flour and the water and the leaven up, and we're just gonna let it sit for just a little while. So we're gonna moisten our salt just a little bit. So when your dough is sticky, if you just wet your hands, then you can knead all this in without the dough sticking to your hand. Just gonna knead this salt in really well. All right, now that the salt is mixed into this, we're just gonna cover this and leave this on the counter for the next few hours. And then every hour we're gonna come in here and do a stretch and fold on this. And you'll be able to see how this dough, how raggedy it is right now. Once we do a couple of those stretch and folds, it'll be nice and smooth. All right, so it's been an hour, so we're gonna go ahead and do our first set of stretch and folds. So we're gonna wet our hand in water so the dough doesn't stick to your hand. And we're just gonna pull it up. This is really hard to do in a plastic bowl too because it doesn't stay on the counter. Turn. I'm just gonna do that 4 times around the bowl. Okay, so we're just gonna leave that set here for another hour and then do that again. I'm gonna go ahead and do another stretch and fold on this. So you can see the dough's looking much better and we're already starting to get some bubbles here. And it stretches much nicer now after it's had a couple hours to sit. And you want to try to keep these bubbles in here. So I'm just going to let this sit here and I'm going to do one more of these in an hour. We're going to go ahead and do our third and last set of stretch and folds here. This is looking really good. We're starting to get some bubbles here. So I'm just going to stretch and fold this one more time, and then I'm just going to put the lid on this bowl and put it into the edge of the creek in the shade to keep it cool until tomorrow. And you can see the dough is so much better than when we started. We're just gonna leave it just like that, put the lid on until tomorrow. So I took the dough out of the creek early this morning and it's been sitting here for a couple hours warming up. So now we're gonna go ahead and just split this into 2 pieces. Now at this point it's gonna be sticky and you don't wanna put any kind of flour or anything on your table. You need the dough to stick to the table, that way you can laminate it, which is where you take your bread. Well, you'll see. It's just gonna help build strength to the dough, but if you flour your surface, then it's not gonna work. I'm gonna go ahead and just dump this out here. Just gonna set one back in here so it's out of the way. Okay, and now you're just gonna start taking this and just kind of shaking it. We're just gonna take this and we're gonna stretch it all the way across the table until it gets really thin. You want it to pass the window pane test, which is where you can see light coming through the dough. And if your dough is cold, then it's gonna rip. You don't really want it to rip, but we're at camp, so I can only get it so warm here. So I'm just gonna do the best you can while you're at camp. So you can start seeing really thin spaces right here in it. And you can see all these beautiful little bubbles here. You want all those in your dough. That's really good. All right, so you can start to see light through here. All right, so for being at camp, I'm gonna call this good. And so I'm just gonna take this and fold it up now.
we're gonna start working it into our shape that we want. I'm just gonna do rounds here. So you're gonna take the ends and just kind of tuck it under and then just slide it to you. Once again, you don't want any flour on your surface while you're doing this because you need it to be sticky. And so we're getting some nice bubbles here on top. We want to keep those in there. Spin it just a little, seal it on the bottom. So I'm going to call this loaf good right here. Now typically this is where you would take rice flour and dust this really, really well with rice flour. I forgot to bring it to camp, and so I've just been using some tea towels and putting the tea towel into my bowl, and it works pretty well. It's not sticking too bad. So you're going to turn it upside down into your bowl here, and then we're just going to cover this. We're going to let it sit out on the counter for about an hour, and then we'll put it back into the creek until this afternoon. That way it gets nice and cool. A traditional sourdough loaf you're supposed to bake from cold, and so we're just going to set that in there. That's the coldest I can get right now. All right, so we got this fire going, and now we're just going to let this cook down. Once this fire starts going really good, then I'm just gonna go ahead and pack more wood in here. But I'm also gonna have a fire going in the fire pit here as well. That way I make sure I have plenty of coals. So we'll take about an hour for this to cook down and get some nice coals to start making bread. So we're gonna go ahead and get this Dutch oven ready for the bread. My coals are almost ready, and what you need to do is you need to heat this up just like you would in an oven. And so I'm gonna go ahead and get this ready, put it in the hole, and then let it heat up for probably 10 minutes, and then I'll put the bread in. But my setup here, I just have like a really large Dutch oven, and then I have a rack that I put on the bottom. And then on top of that rack, I have a stainless steel pie plate. And I'm gonna put that in here with the lid on, and that's how I am going to warm it up. Once this gets warmed up, then I'm gonna take my bread, which I'm gonna put on a piece of parchment paper. I'll take the lid off, slide that bread right into that pie plate, put this back on, and then I'll put coals on top of it. You can see that the coals are ready here. I'm gonna go ahead and take this piece of log that's still in here, and I'm gonna move it over to the fire right there. And then I'm gonna take a shovel and scoop some of the coals out of here, put it into the other fire. That way I can get the temperature that I want into this, to the hole here to put the cast iron in. We're gonna go ahead and just set our Dutch oven in here. And then I'm gonna put some coals back on top. So I'm putting this many coals in here now just to get it as hot as I can. That way when I put that bread into that hot Dutch oven, it gets that oven spring that you really want. And then once the bread's in there, then I'll be more selective with the coals I put on there and just keep feeling and checking the temperature for the next hour. We're gonna go ahead and get our bread ready to go into the Dutch oven. You what? The bread. Nice and warm in there. We're gonna go ahead and just pick the bread straight up. All right, so now this is going. I'm gonna be coming out here every 10 minutes to turn that Dutch oven. You do that because you don't want one hot spot that's gonna cook more than the other. And so you just come out here and just kind of rotate it some. When I do that, I'll be taking some of the bigger coals off and putting them back in the fire to heat them back up, and then just adding more on here just to try to keep it at that 400, 450 degree temperature for the next hour. go. And this has been going for about 45 minutes. So we're gonna go ahead and take a peek in here and see what this looks like. All right, so here is the moment of truth. It should be done. Look at that. So pretty. Comes done. Perfect, we're gonna take it out. This took about 45 minutes. So we're gonna go ahead and take this into the kitchen and go ahead and start reheating and do this whole process for the next loaf.
Ooh, looks really good.
Look at that, pretty.
Beautiful.
Beautiful.
Do you guys feel like a port? It's not very good port.
Pork.
Port. P-O-R-T. Port?
What's that?
It's not very good. It's port. Oh, it's in a juice bottle because it's a light and load.
What is that?
And so what better way to end a night at camp than to break bread with a friend? It was a lot of fun and we all enjoyed getting to know Mike at camp. But that's going to wrap it up for this video. I hope you enjoyed it and we will see you on the next one.